First, let me start off by just apologizing to all you guys who follow my channel, everybody who watches my videos. I appreciate it, but I have not put out a video in a long time. Pretty much all spring and summer. It's been a crazy spring, it's been a crazy summer. You know, between traveling and parties and birthdays, sports with my daughter, it becomes a lot. And doing that, having the handyman business, starting the real estate business and doing the rental, it's been a lot going on, and I just have been so focused on working and getting it done. But with that being said, we're back. I'll turn the camera around and I'll show you what I'm working on today. All right, so here's what I'm working on. And the best part about this is this job is about 2 minutes down the road from my house at our township hall. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna tear all this off, keep the posts there, keep the framing there. We gotta add in framing, and then we're gonna lay this decorator's decking. This is the venture line, and then put aluminum posts and railings up, which this is all that's here, and none of the posts and railings are here, and I'm not too sure why, so I need to figure that out. But that's what we're working on, so we're gonna start demoing it. So when the decking's on and everything, it doesn't look like a lot, but once you peel it all off, you stack it up, you underestimate how much trash you really have. And this is just one small ramp. It was all nailed down, so basically what I did was I took this tool, which is called duckbill deck wrecker. If you don't have one, you got to get one. Pull up the one board, this goes right underneath the next one. That part right there stays on the joist. You push and pops it right up. So this took me about a half hour to tear all this off. It's not long at all. Here's the part of the video that a lot of people don't show you, is what happens when things don't go as planned. So I figured I'd just post and show you guys. I went and got all that material. I didn't have it delivered. I went and picked it all up, got nice and stacked and sorted. But here's the reality of it. When it's raining like this, like it is outside all day, it's almost impossible to work. You can't work in this. You know, these are going to keep filling up. There's a hole there from the old post that I'm going to replace. That water has to be pumped out. Here's where we're at. A lot of people don't see this part of the job. They just see start to finish and not the stuff in between. So here you go. So we'll just wait out the rain. We're probably gonna have to let it dry out, and then we'll get back here and start working. Forgot to turn the camera on when I started, but anyways, we're getting there. Everything's dry now. Here's how far we've gotten. So I pretty much just laid new framing. This is ridiculous. The posts are in good shape, but this framing is not in the best shape, so I'm like, forget it. We're just gonna do 16 on center, replace it all. All right, I'm still working on the framing, and see, here's things that just hold you up. So in order for this to get to work right, the outer rim board has to fall inside of this. So I'm having to cut the asphalt back. Things you don't account for, but see, now I'm not going to get all the framing done today like I thought I was going to. Okay, so this is what I did in order to have the joist not sitting on the dirt. It's not the best thing to do, but paver base underneath, these stones on top. In a perfect world, if the budget would allow it, I probably would have just cut all this, made a 2x4 frame, and put a concrete pad down on the ground. Okay, here we are. We're all framed in. We're all ready for decking, ready for railings. You know, like I said before, you do the best you can with what you got. You know, it's 100 times stronger than it was before. You look at that, that's the old framing compared to the new stuff. Now, none of this framing, the old framing, is being used except those two pieces there. That's it, and the posts. The rest is, that stuff's just sitting there. I'm like, there's no reason to remove it. It can stay. I'm not going to take all that labor just to take them off. So yeah, it's strong now, ready for decking. All right, here's how far I've gotten. Obviously, we've got decking going down, and I'll show you guys. This is what I'm using. So this is decorator's decking. I'm using their stowaway fasteners, and I found the easiest way to do this is you have to do a couple at a time, slide this in, and screw it down most of the way one at a time, just joist by joist, because if you just try to slide these in like, oh, I'll put a bunch in at once, this is what it does. It does that. It will not stay. You won't be able to slide the next board in, so you got to do it this way. It's found that that's the fastest way to do it. So hold it there, screw it down most of the way, just go down the line of your joist, slide your board in, and then go back and fasten it all. I found that that's the fastest way. Camo Fasteners makes a lot better system to do this, but I don't know for sure. They say it don't void the warranty. There's so much back and forth, I can't really give you the right answer. Some people say it does void the warranty, some say it doesn't, but they make it so they put a thing on the end of this drill. And then grab this tool. You gotta have more than one though. I only have one of those, but put 2 should probably suffice for this size span. Put those in, you clamp it, it locks all these in, and then the gun just goes brr, 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 and puts it in. It's a lot faster, but I don't have it. Another tip for you guys, one thing I always do now, what I normally do is I overhang the boards on both sides, and I go back, snap a chalk line, and then I cut it nice and straight. I didn't do that for these first bunch of boards because my blade guard would hit the asphalt, so I had to wait until it was going to be up high enough off the ground. And then now what I'll do is I'll snap a chalk line, cut it all at the end, one cut, and it'll be nice and straight. Okay, here we are. Both sides are cut, and they look really good. It's usually easier to cut if you have a surface mount post, because you install the decking down, and then you can make a nice straight line and use your track saw all the way down. But when the posts are already there, you can't do that. So I use my small track saw track for these small areas, but then I had to go back and a combination of my circular saw and jigsaw and multi-tool finish it off. Okay, here's how far I got. And it's Friday, so I got to get out of here, but got 3 sections up. Goes together really well. They make these swivel brackets for a ramp or stairs. So let's work on this section next, and I'll show you guys how you install it. All right, we're looking really good. I've just been sitting here plugging away, and this is probably the best and easiest railing I've ever used. And I forgot to show you guys how to install it, so I'll do that real quick. Okay, so this is a Westbury aluminum railing is what I'm installing. And you can do a surface mount post, but in this case I saved the old post, so I'm doing a post sleeve. Now, they make this jig that you can put over it, and then it tells you for a 36-inch top rail exactly where the brackets go. But for this ramp, you can't use just the regular straight brackets because it's at an angle, so you have to use these swivel brackets, and this won't work inside of this, so you can't use this. So instead, I just took a thin strip of wood, if you can see there, I marked the top, and then I drilled where the holes are for those brackets. Did it on the top, and then I did it on the bottom. So I marked the holes, drilled it out, and then I go back with this marker, mark, top and bottom, and then I know exactly where the brackets get screwed in. All right, I got my marks there. This is really easy to screw in. You just hold the bracket up. And that's a good thing about that jig because it holds the bracket in there for you, but this, you just hold it up. Use these little self-tapping screws. Now I'm gonna line up the railing. I got it lined up here along the deck. So you wanna make sure you got the right spacing in the baluster from this baluster to the end of that. So I just go and measure. We're 2 7/8 on that side, 2 7/8 on this side. So we're right on. Now the only thing is though, you're not going to cut this here. You're going to cut where this swivel bracket is. So I'm gonna hold my square up and make a mark, and that's where I'm gonna cut, but it'll still give you the spacing of less than 4 inches from the post to this baluster. I put a little block of wood on there just so that holds it for me. I'll just set this up here, this square, and I'll line it up with the end of this and the end of that, and I'll get my cut right where it needs to go. Now for the most part, these should be the same. If you have nice straight posts, to that mark and this mark to this mark should be the same. Okay, so now what I'll do is I've got these lined up. This is the bottom rail, this is the top rail. I got my mark, I'll transfer it to the other one, and we'll cut both the top and the bottom. What we'll do is we'll insert the balusters into the bottom railing, and the cool thing about this railing is there's this little plastic piece in there that will hold the balusters in and won't let them pull out. You just gotta make sure they're down all the way in there. So too, make sure you put this on something that's not gonna scratch the railing. Last order of business before we put the railing in the bracket. Since this thing is over 6 feet, put this little support in there, and that'll support the bottom railing. Really easy to do. You just measure from one side to the other, get your middle, put it right in the middle on the bottom. And now we'll do the top. The top's just a little more difficult. It's not too bad, but you basically start at one end and work your way down and pound it in as you go along. Same thing, there's self-tapping screw here on the top and the bottom, and you do that on both sides, and that keeps the railing in there nice and tight. So one thing I forgot to mention about this railing is you can cut it short. I think it recommends 1/4 less, and I'm pretty close this time, but you just want to make sure it's long enough to capture the screw on all 4 sides, otherwise you got no way to attach the railing in. Last step, put these caps on. there you go. That's all there is to it. That you leave enough room, got shocked. You leave enough room for this cap to go on and make sure it doesn't hit this baluster. Now I got lucky. I got out by the skin of my teeth on that one, so you got to just be careful. Make sure you have enough spacing there for that too. All right, I moved on to the fascia. That piece looks good. Now this piece is the one that's a little more difficult. You got to get the right angle cut there, and you come on down here, and you can see I made a rough cut, laid it in there. It's pretty close. Now you can see it's a little high there, but for what I'm working with, it's pretty dang good. I'm gonna shave a little bit more down where I made that mark, but you know, that's pretty good. The frame is covered up, and you know, the pavement is like this, so I'm happy with it. Okay, remember I talked about early in the video I'd show you a way to cover that up. So what I did was I took an edge of the solid board, I cut a thin strip, I'm gonna slide it in there, cut it to length. There you go. You'll see a little bit on the end, a little bit of paint, no big deal. And then we'll use 2P10 glue and spray, and it'll look perfect. Got it more smooth, more even with this. I'm happy with that. Now a little bit of touch-up paint. You won't even see it. Okay, just to show you that everything's not glorious when you're doing a project, that's how much I was off. So I didn't take into account I was gonna add that strip that hit that on both sides. So I notched it in, looks pretty good. We'll just put a bead of caulk along here now, and then we are all finished up. I don't know if I ever mentioned throughout the video, but decorators, terrain, decking, Westbury aluminum railing. First time using this railing. I am really happy with it. I would have no problems using it again, but it all turned out good. Matches the building really well. Oh, the worst part of the day, cleaning up now. But clean up, go home. All right, guys, hopefully everybody learned something from the video. Sorry about the lack of content. It's been a crazy busy summer, but now things are gonna start to slow down a little bit, so I'll have more time to really pump out some content for you guys. But don't forget, give me that thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share these videos, and if you got any questions, drop them in the comment section below, and we'll see you on the next video.